Hey guys, I think we'll begin. We have enough of the sign-ups who joined us. Yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for actually taking out the time today and joining us. So today, as you might have seen on various Discord channels, on emails, or across social media, we will sort of show you how you can open source Tweetdeck using Appsmith and n8n. So if you don't know already, Appsmith, we will go into this in detail, but Appsmith essentially helps you build apps with very little code. We give you the basic boilerplate and framework. We give you a bunch of widgets. You just need to connect your UI with the UI widgets along with your data sources, and with a little bit of JavaScript, you can build your app. And n8n essentially helps you automate any sort of workflow you want. They have a ton of integrations. You should definitely check them out. If you haven't already. So today, what we'll be covering is since we have people from both the n8n community and the Appsmith community, we thought we'll quickly run through Appsmith. A little bit about n8n. We have our friends from n8n, Tane and Harshal, who have joined us. So they'll be talking to you a little bit about n8n. Then Conference will take over from me. Talk a little bit about what we're going to build, what the scope of the application is. He'll build that in 20 minutes or less flat. We guarantee you that. And then we can have question and answers. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask on chat, or maybe interrupt me or Conference and ask the questions. We'd like this to be interactive because that's where we think the learning is maximum and everyone gets ideas. So we encourage you to ask questions whenever you have them. So what is Appsmith? This graphic is essentially self-explanatory. So we have a ton of integrations with data sources. Google Sheets, we just released Snowflake DB. So if you need something to connect to Snowflake, you can just sort of spin up an Appsmith instance and write. You pass that data to our widgets, where we have a UI builder using widgets. We have a ton of widgets, I think now 15 out of the box that you can use. Write very simple JavaScript to bind the data to your widget, modify that data, and then you just have a deploy button and you instantly publish it. So we kill the boring parts and the tedious parts of engineering and make you focus on just building the app and ship really, really fast. So a little bit about n8n. I'll ask Harshal or Tanay to take over from me and talk a little bit about n8n.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Harshal Agrawal, and I work in the developer relations team at n8n. And I'm really excited to be here. And thank you to the Appsmith team for organizing the event. So talking about n8n is a low-code, fair-code licensed automation platform. So n8n allows you to connect more than 290 apps and services to build your automation workflow. So let's just say you want to connect to a service, for example, Airtable. And for example, if Appsmith does not have the functionality yet to connect to Airtable, you can use n8n to connect these two services together. Another example over here would be, let's take an example that is relevant to today's event. So you are running a company and you want to reach out to people on Twitter. You can either go to Twitter, search for the tweets that mention your company, your competitors, or some keywords, and based on the context, you might want to perform some action. So you can either do it manually, go through hundreds of tweets every day, or you can build an automation, a workflow that does that for you. Now, in such workflows, you might want to connect different services together. Now it becomes a bit tedious, to write the code for that. So that's where n8n comes into play. It allows you to connect these services seamlessly and build a workflow that performs these tasks for you. So you build these workflows all via a graphical user interface, and Confidence is gonna show you all that today. Now you can again self-host n8n on your own servers or use n8n Cloud, which is a software as a service offering from us. So do check out n8n.io to know more. And if you have more questions, I'll be here throughout the event. And Jason is also here, so he will be also be answering some of your questions. And also our community is very active, so you can ask your questions on our community forum, and if you want to talk about automation or low-code, no-code tools, do join us on Discord. I'll be sharing the links in the chat soon.
Hey, thanks a ton for that, Harshal. So incidentally, the image we have here of n8n is what we'll be building out today. How we essentially create a webhook service and post messages to multiple platforms like Tweetdeck helps you do. Now moving on. So I mean, we are blatantly calling it a Tweetdeck clone, but it is what it is, right? Just kidding. So what we want to actually touch upon in this demo is not just about building a Tweetdeck or something like that. We'll show you how using Appsmith and n8n you can build almost anything you want. So we have something known as SaaS series coming up as well, and every fortnight we'll sort of take you through how to build different SaaS products on Appsmith using n8n and other services. But broadly, what we'll be doing today is we'll create a page that reads the Twitter feed and shows you the latest tweets in the form of a list widget that we have. We'll also build a form. You'll see how quickly we can do it. That helps users choose where to post and what to post. Post the message to an n8n webhook, and we let n8n handle the logic and do the posting and be the worker for us in this app. So Appsmith will be your main UI UX layer along with the requester and sending requests, and n8n does the workflow bit for us today. So what we'll be discussing today is essentially how you can build UI on Appsmith. Displaying, just give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry, Harsh. Yeah. Building UI on Appsmith, how easy it is to essentially drag and drop on Appsmith to build your UI. Display data and create interactivity with widgets. Essentially, how do I bind my data with these widgets, and how do I make this a complete app and with full UX and interactivity? So we'll do that. We'll show you how to pass requests from Appsmith to n8n, setting up an n8n webhook, and setting up logic and workflow on n8n. So this is broadly what we'll cover. And yeah, over to you, Confidence. So if you can just start with the overview of the app, then we can continue. We can go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. I think you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
All right. So this is what we're going to be building today. We're going to be building a Tweetdeck clone with a few key features in under 20 minutes. And right here, you can see that we have a few features that we need for application. We have basic analytics. We can see our current count of followers and the current number of people we're following. We also have our Twitter feed where we can see tweets coming from our timeline. We have all of that right here in a nice list. And we can click on a tweet and see more information about that tweet. So you notice as I click on this tweet, we have this section of the application reload, and I'm able to see more information about the tweet, the author, the dates, the text of the tweet, people who were mentioned in the tweet, and some stats about the tweet, like the number of likes and the retweets. So this is what we are going to be building. And the icing on the cake is that we can also send out tweets and messages from within the application. So we can type in a tweet right here, click on the tweet button, and check which channels we want to send that message to, either Twitter or Discord. And we have this workflow powered by n8n right here. You can see the entire workflow. I'll be explaining as we go on with building the application, but we can send a request from our Appsmith app with the message we want sent out, and we have this workflow configured such that that tweet will be sent as a tweet on Twitter and also as a message on Discord. So this is what we are going to be building, and I think we can get started. So I'm going to head over to my Appsmith application. One thing I would also like to mention is that I have all of this running locally. So you can see I have Appsmith running locally, and the same also goes for n8n. I have n8n working locally on my computer. And the beauty of this is that I can develop my application locally on my computer where I am comfortable with. And when I'm done building the application, I can export both the Appsmith app and the n8n workflow to production and deploy it right there. So it's really easy to do all of that. All right, so we can get started. I am going to create a new app on my Appsmith dashboard. And the first thing I want to do here would be to arrange widgets that would describe my layout. So let us bring in a container widget right here. I'm going to resize this a bit. And I'm going to copy paste this and bring that there and have another at the middle. So let's expand this a bit. All right, I'll need another container widget right here. And this would house the tweets. I'll need a form widget that would contain the flow for sending out the tweets. So let's resize this a bit. And let's bring in the buttons and reduce the length of this. And I'll need one more container widget that would display more information about the tweet. So let's resize this. And I'm going to expand this. All right, so let's bring this closer. And then we have the basic layout of our application ready. So I'm going to bring in a few text widgets to label each section. So let's call this tweet feed. And I'm going to set this to heading 1, heading 2. We already have a text widget right here. So let's call this send tweet. And we can set this to heading 2. And I'll bring in another text widget right here. And let's call this tweet lookup. And I'll set this to heading 2. Let's expand this a bit since we have a longer text. All right, so the first widget I want to drop within the tweet field section is the list widget, which would allow us to display tweets from my timeline. So let's bring this right here and resize it so that it is taking up all the space we have within the widget. And we also need a button that would enable us reload or refresh the tweets. So we have that right here. The next thing I want to do would be to configure the API that lets us get tweets from my timeline. So I'm going to do that right now.
Hey, Confidence, can you talk a little bit more about why we're using the list widget for this one?
All right. Okay. So that is because we are getting an array of tweets, and that's a list of tweets. And the list widget would be perfect or ideal for displaying these tweets we have coming from the API. So if you take a look at this, the dummy data we have right here is a list, and a list widget is very nice for displaying a list of information that has related components. We can see an image widget, and we see that we have a bunch of text widgets right here. Okay,
yeah, so I think one thing to note here for the audience is the list widget acts pretty similar to the table widget, only you have freedom in being able to display what you want and where you want, as Confidence will show you. Just wanted to point that out.
All right, so now I'm going to create a Twitter data source. So this is an API I already started creating. Maybe you didn't get that, so I'm just going to delete this and start afresh. So I'll click on the API section right here, click on the plus button, and I'm clicking on the create new API. I'm just going to paste the endpoint, and I would like to save this as a data source. The reason why we're saving this is as a data source is because we want to be able to reuse an authenticated endpoint. So this is similar to using environment variables when you're running requests in Postman. So I'm going to call this tweet API. And then the authenticated URL, I'll need to pass in my authorization header. So this is going to be authorization. And then pass in my token. So I can save this and then go back to write the endpoints, the query that will actually get my timeline. So let's call this get timeline. And this is going to be a get request to my tweet endpoint. So you can see already making use of that data source already configured. That is why we have this highlighted blue text. And this is going to be calling the users routes, my user ID, and then tweets. So I'll click on the run button. And here we have a list of tweets that has been returned. So I can go back to make use of that data coming from the get timeline endpoint within the list widget. So I'm just going to make use of that right here. So this is going to be get timeline.data.data. and we have the data coming from the endpoints within this list widget. So I'm going to configure this because I would need to display the tweet information. I'll be using the text widgets we have within here by default. So I'm just going to resize this a bit. All right, and right here, I want to display the text, which would be the tweet content. I'm going to set this to heading 2. And within this text widget, I want to display the ID. And I am going to indent this. And lastly, I would want to add a button that allows us to view more information about this tweet. So I'm just going to call this view and set this to a secondary button style. And whenever this is clicked, what I want to do is to call an API that gives us more information about the selected tweet we have from the list widget. So I'll click on create an API. So let's call this get tweet. And this is going to be hitting the tweet endpoint. I will be using the tweet API data source I configured, and then passing in the endpoint I want to call. So right here, what I'm doing is that I am pulling the ID from the tweet that was selected on the list widget, and I'm passing it to the endpoint I'm calling. So let's run this, and we can see we are receiving more information about the tweet that was selected from the table widget. So now I am getting more information about that tweet. What I want to do is to display that information right here within the tweet lookup container. So let's bring in some widgets to do that. I'll need a couple of text widgets to show information about the author, the date, the tweet itself. I'll need to resize this. I also want to see information about the mentions. So let's resize this also. And I want to see the likes and the retweets. So for this, let's update the name to author. So this is going to be author. And to display its value, I will bring in a text widget. For the value of this text widget, I'm going to be pulling its data from the get tweet API we just configured. And this is going to be in the data property. All right, it seems it's going to be in the meta. Okay, so this is data.include.users, and this is an array. So I'll be grabbing the first item, and I'm interested in user's username. So I can see the user's username right there. So I'm going to set this to not be bold. The next thing I want to do would be to configure the date. And to display the date information, I am going to be bringing a text widget right here. And I want to pick the dates from the data.created@. And there we can see the evaluated date. But this is not in a human readable format. So what I want to do is that I'd like to use the built-in moment library to format this date so that it is more human friendly. So I'm going to be using moment. And I'm going to be calling the .format method and passing a format I want to use. So this is going to be YYY, month, day, minute. And there we have a more friendly date string up. So let's expand this a bit since we have a longer text. And here I would like to display the tweet text. So this is going to be the getTweets.data.data.text. And there we have the tweet text string up. Next, I would like to display the mentions. So for this, this is going to be in the data.entities.mentions. And this is an array. So since this is an array, what I'd like to do is to map over the array because I would like to reformat the data in such a way that is friendly to what I want to display. So I am going to map over this. And I want to return a string that has an @ in front of it, combined with the user's username. This will still return back an array because I'm doing a map. So what I want to do is to join this when I'm done. and we have that showing up nicely. So we can see all the mentions that were inside of this tweet right here. And lastly, we would like to display the metrics such as the like and the retweets. So this is going to be inside data.public. Sorry about that. This is going to be public matrices dot likes, like counts. And then we have the likes for this particular tweet. I would like to add an emoji and give a little bit of space between the emoji and the data. So we have that right here. And similarly, I'm going to do the same for the retweets. So let's head over to this text widget. And this is basically the same thing I'm doing just for the retweet. So we can click on a particular tweet and see more information about that. Everything is updated and reloaded there nicely. The next thing I want to do would be to show some analytics about the following I have for my user account. So for that, I would need to create a new API. I'll be using my Tweet API data source. I'm going to click on create an API. And the first thing we want to do here will be to get the current count of my following. So let's call this get following. And I'll be hitting the following endpoints. The reason why we are adding the max results query parameter is because by default, Twitter returns a maximum of 100 items in the data that is returned. And that is not going to capture the entire following that I have. So that's why I'm adding a max, which is greater than what I currently have. So let's run this. And here we have a result of my current following. So we can display that by going back to the dashboard and bringing in a text widget right here. I am going to set this text, this container to be of a green background. And for this text, I'm going to say following and set the text color to white and make this heading level 2. And then bring in a new text widget to actually display the data. So this is going to be coming from get following.data.meta.result count. And we have that right there. So let's set this to white and make this heading 2. And then we have following information. The next we want to do would be to get the current count of my followers. So let's go to create a new endpoint to do that. So this is going to be called get followers. And this is going to be hitting the followers endpoint, similar to what we did for the following. So let's run this, and I can see a list of the followers I have. All right, let's head back and display this right there. I'll need to bring in a text widget and then set this to green, make this followers, and set the text color to white and increase the size to heading 2. And then another text widget to display the count of my followers. So let's go. So I'll be pulling the data from the get followers endpoint. So this is going to be get followers.data.meta.result count. And I can set this to white and increase the size to heading 2. So right now we have the basic setup of our dashboard ready. The next thing we want to do would be to configure the flow that actually lets us send out tweets. And for this, we'll be using n8n, as I said earlier. So let's build the UI for this. I would need...
Hey, Conference, so why are we using the form widget and not just the inputs and buttons? Can you just talk a little bit about it?
Okay.
Just talk a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so the reason why I'm using a form widget and not a regular container widget is because I want it such that whenever I click on the submit button, input widgets such as the checkbox widget I'll be using and the rich text widget I'll be using would be reset whenever I submit the form. So whenever I type something and click on submit, I want the form to be automatically reset, and the form widget can do that for me. I can also add custom validations to make sure that I have a text within the rich text editor before I submit, so that I don't end up submitting something that is empty. So those two reasons are those are why you want to use a form widget. So let's bring in a rich text editor right here, and I'm going to resize this. I hope I answered your question.
Yep, you did. Thank you.
Okay. So I would need a checkbox That will be for Twitter, and this will be for Discord. And we can update this to say Twitter. And this would say Discord. And we have the basic UI setup. So now I would like to pause things on the Appsmith side and go over to n8n to configure the workflow that will actually do the magic of sending out the tweets and sending a message to Discord. So I will delete this just because I want to show you how to do everything. And I'll also delete the credentials I have right here. And here we have a blank dashboard to work on. First thing I want to do would be to drop in a webhook node, and this would allow us to trigger the entire flow by calling it from our Appsmith application. So I'm going to close this because I will need to drop in a few other nodes. The next I want to drop would be the if node, and we need this because we want to make it conditional such that we can either choose to send a tweet to Twitter or send the message to Discord just by clicking on the checkbox we have right here. All right, so we have the nodes configured. So I can go into the webhook and set this to be a post node because I like to bring in data from the form we have here on the Appsmith dashboard into the workflow. So I'm going to set this to post and then copy the test URL because I'll need to make use of this. All right, so I can save this and mark this as active and then execute the workflow. Now I can go back to my Appsmith app and start wiring things up. So when the submit button is clicked, so let's actually update this to tweet. When the tweet button is clicked, what I want to do is to call a new API. I'm going to create an API that will talk to the webhook we are configuring on n8n. So this is going to be the send tweet API, and it is going to be a post request because we made that webhook a post request. What I want to do right here is to make an update to the host name we have. Here it says localhost, and the reason why I'm changing that is because I have both Appsmith and n8n in Docker containers, and localhost will refer to the local Docker container that Appsmith would execute this on. So I'm updating this to be the internal IP address of my machine. This is because I have both running locally. And for the body of the request, I am going to pull that in from the form we have configured. So I'll need a text, and for its value, I'm going to pull that from the rich text editor. And we also want to pull, sorry about that. So this is going to be rich text editor.text. And we also want to pull is Twitter. As you already guessed, this will be coming from the checkbox. So this would be checkbox 1.is checked. And I would also want to configure the is Discord. And this is going to come from the second checkbox, which represents the one for Discord. So this is going to be checkbox 2.is checked. And before even triggering this, we can see the evaluated value of what would be sent. Someone asking a question? Sorry, I didn't get you.
You can continue conference.
Okay. So before signing this up, I can take a look at what we have in the evaluated value pane, and I can see a good representation of what will be sent over to the webhook. So I can click on the run button to execute this. It seems I do not have my workflow running. Okay, I can set that and then click on the run button. And here we have a success message showing that the data has been sent to the webhook. So taking a look at the data in the webhook, I can see that I have the information I passed from my Appsmith app is showing up right here in the webhook. I have the text, I have the is Twitter, I also have the is Discord. And with that data, I can go on with building this workflow. So for this if statement, I want to add a condition such that, a string condition such that when the is Twitter data coming from the webhook is true, we want this note to be executed and to be outputted as true. So I'm just going to grab the data from the information coming from the webhook. So this will be in the webhook, output data, JSON, body, is Twitter. Right now it is false, but I want it such that when it is equal to true, the true condition of this node gets executed. And similarly, I am going to do the same for the Discord if statement. So we want to add a string condition and add an expression and say whenever the data coming from my Appsmith app coming in through the webhook is true, this will be for is Discord. Whenever it is true, I want this to be executed. So this will be true. Right now it is false. So I'm going to close this, and then I will bring in the Discord node, and also I would bring in the Twitter node. All right, and connect it to the true statement of this if node, and we have Discord connected the same way. So next thing I want to do here would be to actually configure both sending a tweet and sending a message on Discord. So I'll need to create an authentication key. So I would click on the create new button and then give this a name. So let's call this Twitter auth. And for the key, I'm just going to paste in my key. So this is my key, and I also want to paste in my secret. So this is my secret. And then I want to authorize this n8n workflow. So I'll click on the button right here and click on it one more time, and we should see a pop-up. I don't know if you can see this, and there's a pop-up, a Twitter pop-up saying authorized app, and I'm clicking on that. And I have my application authorized, and you can see it is connected. So I have Twitter set up. The next thing I want to do would be to configure the text that will be tweeted out. So you can see that this is a Twitter node, and I'm trying to create a tweet for the text. I'm going to be grabbing that from the data coming in from the webhook. So this is going to be webhook, output parameters, JSON, body, text, and that will be the text that will be tweeted. And same also for Discord. I want the text to be coming from the webhook, output data, JSON, body, text, and we have the text right there. For the URL, the webhook URL of Discord, this will be the channel I want that message to be sent out to. So I'm just going to open Discord right here and go to the Appsmith channel. And I want to head over to the settings of the general channel and head over to integrations. And here we have webhooks. So I already have a webhook. If I don't have one, I can click on this button to create a webhook, but I already have a webhook. So I'm just going to copy that URL and head back to n8n and use that as the webhook of the channel we want the message to be sent to. All right, so we have everything configured right now. I can click on the save button and execute this. And now we can go back to the Appsmith app and test everything out. All right, so let's test that. All right, so we have everything ready. I'd like someone to send us his Twitter handle so that we can test that by using it in this tweet. So can someone in the chat paste in their Twitter handle so that we can send that out? For some reason, I can't see my chat right now. So let's see if I can. Okay. Okay, so
can you see in conference?
Yes, I've seen some. Okay, so
cool.
So we're going
Thanks for volunteering, guys, to have some spam on your Twitter.
So we're going to say shout out to at me, Appsmith, and at n8n IO live demo, and we are going to we want to send this both as a tweet and also as a message to Discord. So let's click on the tweet button and see if everything works.
Deep breath from us.
All right, so we can see that the nodes on n8n are being executed, and we can check Twitter and see if that worked. So I'm just going to reload my timeline. And you can see that we have the tweet right here. This is for Twitter. And let's head over to our channel on Discord. So general, And you can see that we also have a message train up right here on Discord. So we've been able to configure the workflow, and we can see everything is working nicely. Last thing I want to do here would be to give this application a name, because I believe an awesome application should have an awesome name. So let's give this a name. So I'm going to bring in a text widget and say awesome Twitter, and set this to heading 1, and let us expand this and make this centered. And here we have a fully built application. So at this point, we can deploy the application and make use of it, and we see everything working fine. So we can click on view, and this is the tweet we just made. So we can take a look at this, and we see all the people mentioned on this tweet and the number of likes it has. Yeah, so this is the dashboard, and that's all from my end.
Thanks a ton, Conference. Great demo. Really enjoyed watching that. So, do any of you have questions? So we'll wait a minute more for questions.
Okay, so I'm going to tag everyone. I think I just said that. I'm going to create a new tweet and tag everyone. Would you like to see me do that?
Yeah, go for it, sure.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so let's share my screen again. And so please drop in your Twitter handles so that I can tag you if you would like to be tagged. I am tagging everyone.
And Trisha, yes, we'll have this as a template soon. We'll also be putting out a tutorial for this as a blog post. You can check this out on our blog, community.appsmith.com, which we've recently launched. You guys should check it out. A lot of questions getting answered there, a lot of ideas there. So you can check it out, check out the tutorial. We'll also be cross-posting this with n8n, so you can check that out on the n8n blog also.
All right, guys. So while Conference is doing it, I have a couple of points to add here. So like this entire application, as we have seen, it was just built in 20 minutes. But you can also extend this to multiple social platforms, because every day we deal with a lot of social platforms, right? Like Twitter, Discord, LinkedIn, Airtable. Like you can simply extend that using n8n and build, a custom dashboard on Appsmith, everything at one place. So with single click, you can broadcast all your messages to all your social platforms. So yeah, you could also try this. We'll also be publishing a blog post on that. You can expect this probably by next week.
Thanks, yeah. Yeah, David, so I completely agree. I actually think you can build more than personal management systems. Like in our SaaS series that we want to start, we'll actually show you how you can use Appsmith and n8n and other similar services to actually build really quick clones of your favorite SaaS software that you use. Most of the time, the SaaS software that you buy, you're not really using everything they offer unless you're an enterprise. So at least what we realize in Appsmith is it takes us maybe, I'm not even an engineer, and it takes me hardly half a day to build whatever I want to. So we manage all our marketing efforts on Appsmith. We manage all our user engagement on Appsmith. So we'll show you how using this combination, you can do more than just personal management. And actually, we are thinking of releasing a sort of suite of templates that you can essentially clone. As you've seen, you can fork applications on Appsmith now, so that you can fork and start using for yourself and see that you can actually save a lot of money by not buying software and just forking the templates that we build or you build yourself. That's how we're thinking about it right now. But happy to hear your thoughts. Awesome. So David, we will post it to HN, definitely. Yeah. So Harish, I think the current widgets that we have are useful for most, I would say, internal applications. Like any CRUD application that you want, for the most part, you can build using Appsmith. Sure, there are edge cases that we see that come up where where our users want a really specific widget, or we want a very specific widget. But going forward, what we will be having is the ability to build your own custom component on Appsmith. So that should essentially remove that pain point away also. To your question, yes, I think a lot of day-to-day software, internal tools that you want to build, the widgets on Appsmith are mostly enough. Yeah, sure. You can speak, Harish.
Thanks, Akshay, for the answer. I've used Bubble also. I've used software also. So what I feel is that those guys are also building on the same path, that they are also allowing people to change the UI widgets in a way that you can change those things in Figma as well. So like I was thinking, like, since you guys are focusing more on building SaaS, people who can build SaaS applications from product like Appsmith, having a good UI features just like add a like makes it more and more moving towards that particular direction. So that's why I asked the question. But yeah, great demo again.
Thanks, Harish. So Abhishek, I think you can talk about the widgets that we're planning. And incidentally introduce what we are planning to have next week for our community discussion on UI building. Do you want to take that, Abhishek?
Yeah, thanks Akshay. So Harish, our goal with Appsmith is definitely to build the best internal apps. But over time, we know that a lot of internal apps begin to look like what SaaS products are. So we will be able to build a lot of dummy and simple versions of SaaS products in Appsmith. And the idea behind these demos is to simply show what the power of Appsmith is. The idea is definitely not that you'll be able to build an entire SaaS product in Appsmith. I think that's quite far away. It still is for internal purposes. And next week, we'll be doing a discussion around improving our UI building experience, and we'll be discussing with a lot of our users about how do we improve the entire UI building experience, what components we'll be bringing in. We'll be having a discussion next week. So I think you should definitely join that. As well as our roadmap is public and our GitHub issues are public. So if you have any ideas for improving our UI building experience, you should definitely create an issue there.
For sure. Yes, I will be looking forward to that.
Thanks, Harish.
Thanks, Harish. Thanks, Anthony. Thank you for your kind words. David, yes. So we actually see, to your point, we actually see some product managers with the ability to write JavaScript, just picking up Appsmith and building like a rough version of what they want to. And then wherever there's more complexity involved, access controls and things like that in connecting to your prod systems, we see engineers taking over. So that really debottlenecks we have to fight for engineering resources always, right? So this helps debottleneck a lot of processes, and also MVP building becomes so much easier to show value with that MVP on why somebody should build something. We see a lot of that happening within the community. Sure, guys, cool. So any other questions? If not, we'll end the call. And feel just Foluso has asked a question. Yes, so the larger JavaScript editor is coming. It's one of the most requested updates, I would say, to our UI. You will see a completely new JavaScript building experience. I think Abhishek can shed a little bit more light on that. We can chat about it in depth next week also. Abhishek, do you want to just speak a little bit about this?
Thanks, Akshay. So on our Discord, I'm gonna on our research channel, I'm gonna post our Figma files for our code editor, and I'll also post the link to the issue of it. So anybody who's interested in commenting or advising us on it, please take a look at it, because as we speak, we're in the process of updating our entire JavaScript editing experience. So just keep an eye out on our Discord on the research channel. Any feedback right now would be great, because like I said, we are just building that out.
Adding to this, Abhishek and Nikhil had a great conversation in one of our community calls. We'll also be posting that video on Abhishek's thread.
Yeah, so we're also pretty excited for this one. We build everything on Appsmith. internally, and we also have this problem sometimes. So we're pretty excited for the JS editor as well. So thanks a ton, guys, for turning up today. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the demo. So we'll be closing soon. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, you obviously receive emails from me and the team. You can write into us. Yes, David, we'll be posting it on our YouTube. We'll also be starting a new thread on community.appsmith.com where you can find all these videos. No problem. Happy to answer your questions. So we'll share the links with you. I think this newsletter edition will come out, and in that we'll share all the links of where we post the recordings and the other resources and make it easier to find. We'll keep reminding you where it is as our repository of content keeps growing. So thank you for taking the time. Hope you guys enjoyed the demo. If you have any questions, any suggestions, you can obviously email us, join us on Discord. And we also have our community.appsmith.com, where there's a large repository of question and answers and persistent discussion. So we realize that Discord is immediate support, but if you want to discuss something in depth and look at how things have moved, that would be a great place to start a discussion and essentially engage with the rest of the community. Thanks a ton, guys, and have a great weekend. See you guys soon. Bye.